is the life of Queen Victoria through her fashion. We're exploring her fashion journey from her ascent to the throne in 1837 until her passing in 1901. Queen Victoria I of England was born Alexandrina Victoria in 1819 to Prince Edward, Duke of Kent and Strathearn, the fourth son of King George III, and Princess Victoria of Saxe-Coburg-Saalfeld. She was fourth in line to the throne when she was born, and none of her father's brothers had any legitimate children, so she became first in line upon their passing. She became the Queen of England just 1 month after her 18th birthday in 1837. She married Prince Albert of Saxe-Coburg and Gotha in 1840, and the two had 9 children over the 21 years that they were married. Albert died in 1861 of typhoid, and Victoria fell into a deep mourning for the rest of her life. She died in 1901 at the age of 81 and was at the time the longest reigning British monarch and the longest reigning Queen Regent in history until she was surpassed by Queen Elizabeth II in 2015. Queen Victoria was young when she became queen at just 18 years old. Therefore, she followed many of the popular fashions of the day and quickly became a fashion icon for the country. Just as she became queen, the 1830s were coming to an end, and the extravagant fashions of the decade were finally quieting. Victoria wore the fashionable silhouette for the time, and into the 1840s was responsible for popularizing it, as well as popularizing her famous hairstyle that consisted of a middle parting and 2 braids looped under the ears into a bun at the back with the rest of the hair. Photography was also invented in the 1840s, and Victoria and Albert welcomed it and were often photographed. Along with the countless paintings of the pair and their family, they were widely seen and popularized a lot of the fashions that they wore. Queen Victoria married Prince Albert on the 10th of February, 1840. While she was not the first royal bride to ever wear white, her choice of a white gown influenced the trend of wedding gowns immediately within the wealthy, and even still to this day, white is typical for weddings because of her. At the time, brides had tended to wear colors for their wedding, or simply whatever they owned that was deemed appropriate for such an occasion. The dress she wore was white, heavy silk satin with Honiton lace. Honiton lace is bobbin lace that's handmade in Devon, England. The use of so much of this lace on her dress created a significant boost in the popularity of Devon-made lace. Queen Victoria also had a deep love of Scotland. She first visited Scotland in 1842 and fell in love with it. She and Albert made yearly visits, and she built Balmoral Castle there on land that she received upon the death of Sir Robert Gordon in 1847. The couple also had a deep love of Scottish tradition, most importantly Scottish tartan. Victoria loved it so much that she wore it often and even dressed her children in it. Albert created a special tartan just for the royal family called Balmoral tartan. The couple's love for it made it a popular fabric for the time and has made plaid a part of fashion until present day. Her influence also helped improve the image of Scotland as a whole. For the first 20 years of her reign, Victoria was a fashion icon. She was seen as the height of fashion and was an inspiration for and a proponent of many trends, including the adoption of crinolines in the 1850s. In 1861, though, disaster struck. Both her mother and her husband Albert died in the same year. She loved Albert deeply and went into a deep mourning that lasted for the rest of her life, over 40 years. She also went into isolation because of this, and it diminished the popularity of the monarchy, which helped to facilitate a rise in the Republican movement and the power of Parliament. According to Victorian custom, she wore the typical mourning dress, which consisted of lots of black, heavy fabrics like crepe, and no jewelry and limited decoration. Because of this, her daughter-in-law, Princess Alexandra of Wales, the wife of her oldest son Albert, the Prince of Wales, became the new icon of fashion. As her reign was coming to an end, Victoria finally gained back some of the popularity that she had lost from her 20 years of isolation. Her Golden Jubilee in 1887 and her Diamond Jubilee in 1897, which celebrated her 50th and 60th anniversaries of her coronation respectively, brought her back into the view of the country, who now saw her as a maternal, motherly symbol for the country. She retained her deep mourning through the end of her life and died in 1901 at the age of 81, the oldest of any British monarch to date until Elizabeth II.